Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. On today's episode, we're actually going to discuss how toxic resilience is keeping you unhealthy. In this episode, we're going to speak directly to you, the high-achieving woman who puts herself last and prioritizes everything else, and how this has been seen to be a sense of resilience. However, we're going to talk about why it's toxic. So if you are ready, I want you to listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Hey.
Hi.
Oh,
You okay there, dog?
yeah. So you know what's annoying? When people make comments on social media.
Yeah. So do you go and look and
Well, I look because sometimes I have like calls to action. So
okay.
it's just so funny. People are like, and I have to remember.
Well, is this about your mind pump thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's explain what happened. So you were at a conference.
Okay, I'll give you the whole story. So I went to an event and our friends from Mind Pump, which if you guys are not listening to that podcast, please add it to your list because they are wonderful individuals that provide really good information about health and wellness. And one of the guys is using trizepatide, and he's doing it as like an experiment.
Yeah.
To like understand it, how it works. Like he's
Mhm.
still in the beginning phases. So we were talking at this event and I was talking to him about my struggles with these drugs and do they allow us to actually do the underlying work while people are on them? And we just kind of went back and forth and we had a really great discussion. I actually came out of it with a different perspective. However, so they ended up, to my surprise, talking about our conversation on the podcast.
Okay.
So I posted it because, I love the love. And I was actually able to then talk about how my perception of this has changed. And I posted it on TikTok and, people will only hear what they want to hear.
Can we backtrack a little bit?
Yeah.
So what was your perception before and what's your perception after?
So my perception before, and my perception after has not been tested.
Okay.
So it's a hypothesis. So my perception before, when I was thinking about semaglutide, GLP-1s, and for those individuals who have had a relationship with food, that they've used food as a way to soothe and cope and meet unmet needs, I was concerned that if we're on the drugs, because that noise in their brain is turned off,
Right.
we couldn't actually do the underlying work until they got off of the drugs, which ultimately could cause, maybe a couple months of binge eating or whatever that looked like. And then after speaking to him, I was like, well, actually, maybe, because here's the thing, you don't forget what happened to you in your life.
Right.
You don't forget the patterns. You still have emotions while you're on these drugs, I assume.
Hopefully.
Right? If you don't, that's crazy. So could we actually do the work while on the drugs because we're not reaching for food?
Yeah.
To set them up for a foundation of understanding their emotions, understanding their patterns, understanding their thinking.
I have a thought on that.
Okay. So when they get off. Well, duh.
Yeah.
Like this is like an ideal person for us.
Okay.
You've got to want to number one, you don't want to be on these drugs forever. Right.
Yeah.
And you've got to want to figure out so let's put that into perspective. That's a great point. Do you want to learn how to live in a noise-free head?
Yeah.
You've experienced it on the drugs. And do you want to figure out how to do that on your own? Now, again, and Adam and Sal talk about this, there are people who don't give a shit about this. And we're not talking to that person, right?
Yep.
We're not talking to you.
Yeah.
We don't even cater to you in our program. Right? We don't cater to
because we're not catering to the person that doesn't want to work on that internal stuff. We're catering to the person who is done with the cycling and wants to finally get to the root.
And I'm going to say something that's controversial, but our clients have a level of intelligence that they realize that. And for some people, they just don't have that self-awareness or intellect to realize that they have a problem in that area.
Yeah. Who I'm thinking of specifically is there's this gal that I see weekly, multiple times a week, and she is on semaglutide, but didn't need to be. But just wants to lose a couple extra pounds here, and she points to her in her thigh and her belly at this point. She's lost quite a bit. And but I would see her before and her eating behaviors because I'm in pretty close quarters to her.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, that's the fucking problem.
Right.
Now she's on it, still does the same things,
Mhm.
does not give a shit about all of that. And I just, and I hear her talk about her constipation, how she doesn't feel good, how she feels nauseous, all of the side effects that you
Mhm.
typically hear. But yet, I just want these couple, like, a little bit more here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not like it goes like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
we'll
You're
get right
not
there.
putting it right in there. I know many, many women who lived in larger bodies, who want to do the work, who do the work, who do still struggle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's hard for them to lose weight. I'm thinking of one of my clients specifically.
Mhm.
And I talked to her about, I mean, she's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Getting on one of these drugs.
Right.
Because she's already in our program.
Yeah.
Doing the work.
Yeah.
Right. So perfect candidate for that. When we first started, I was like, I don't know. But as what we don't know about these drugs is, are we going to like have a zombie apocalypse with everyone that's been on them at some point? Like, we don't know that. But from people we respect, there's not a lot of negative side effects.
Okay.
At least for now.
So you had this conversation with them.
Yeah. So I put it on
Yeah.
TikTok. And
wait, what was your thinking post? Is that your change post conversation?
My post conversation is, can we use the drugs while doing the hard work?
Yeah.
So that we're not reaching for food, to then titrate off the drugs and have created a foundation around our method. No name, notice, nurture. So then they can start, like, they're already set up for it. And then they're ready they know what it is.
Okay.
Right? Now, the part that has to happen once we get off the drugs is like recognizing the reaction.
Yeah.
Because that reaction is not there right now.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it. I think it could be, and again, we are not going to, I shouldn't say we're not. I'm not going to have someone be on one of these drugs who doesn't need to be. We do have a client who did not necessarily need to be on these drugs, who's now coming to us to help build her muscle, right? But moving forward, that's not going to be us.
Yeah.
There'll probably be programs that include this into their stuff. And it's
like Weight Watchers.
Right.
Yeah.
That says, let's just get you to the quickest way of losing weight. That's not us. However, if I had a client like the client I was talking about, who I've seen her food. She was very upfront if she was having a hard time. People pleaser, did all the things, stress to the, mom, taking mom everywhere. And she got to like 295 and it just halted for months and months and months. And she doesn't drink, like, so for her, again, that would be a candidate for me that I'd say, all right, let's look into this. And we're going to do it with an actual physician, not like one of these med spas that do it. Right. An actual physician, and we're all going to work together. And, so anyway, so I posted it on TikTok.
Okay.
And these pretend coaches, I don't even know what the girl said. She's an ex-coach. Do you know what that is?
A person who doesn't coach anymore?
Oh, maybe no, just the letter. Oh, maybe it is just ex-coach. But it would be
Why would you
EX.
say that?
Maybe X is a thing. Is it like, hold on, let me go.
CrossFit, maybe?
No, she's not a CrossFitter. I'll tell you that right now. Sorry. Ex-coach.
I think, isn't there like a nutrition thing that's X?
I'm getting Coach bags. Hey, Google, you know me well. I would not buy a Coach bag, but anyways, I don't know. Anyways, so she's saying to me, I thought she wasn't being mean, but like, she was like, there's all the likes. She said, some people binge because of hormones. She said one thing, I said one thing, and she said that. And I told her, I said, no, I'm talking about true binge eating, my dear. Not overeating because your ghrelin is high and your leptin is low. I'm talking about dissociating from the experience of eating as a means of soothing, coping, and managing your traumatic responses. Like, don't come at someone with decades of education around this shit when you're like a beach body coach. Sorry. And also, she's on trizepatide as a coach. Help me understand that.
So the complaint that I'm hearing from you is, or I guess the problem of action is, she's talking about overeating because you waited too long to eat, or maybe you're not eating enough throughout the day and you're just having too much food.
Well, she's saying her
Or like
hormones. Well, I mean, we know that when cortisol is high, there is a physiological aspect of it. There, your ghrelin is high, your leptin is low, and you will eat more.
Well, and hormones play a role with nutrition in general. I guess I'm just, I feel like everybody is so invested in this in one way or another, which is fine. I mean, I have my own investment, my own thoughts and whatnot. But I also kind of think like, look, people are going to do it. Right? Like, and that's kind of American society too. People are just going to do it.
We have to adapt.
Yeah. And so if a coach is doing it, I have more questions for that coach. But then also, why? Like, is it so you can relate to your clients? And so you're trying it that way, maybe?
It sounds like she's doing it because of her hormones.
But doesn't it? This is where I kind of get lost in the weeds, because I'm like, but doesn't it affect your hormones? Like,
yeah.
And then wouldn't also like not eating enough impact your hormones in general? Because it's an appetite suppressant essentially. So how is it helping your hormones when we're not getting enough nutrients
and we're losing muscle
mass? That's again, like, I'm not super educated on this. I just have my political conspiracy theories or whatever, but it's like, to me, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Right? No, because you're complaining about a hormone problem, but the hormone problem can be resolved with sleep, good nutrition, working out, making sure all your lab works, a supplement for the appropriate hormone, and then go from there.
Right. No, I agree. Again, it's annoying. Like, and she will die on
her hill.
And that's fine. And I just unfollow people. I think it's Jordan Syatt, and I think Adam said this at the event. Like, just unfollow them.
Yeah.
Like, Jordan Syatt apparently told him that if they see anything negative, I block them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Why? Yeah. There's 10,000 people that want to hear your information and not argue with you.
Yeah.
And now this woman, she's not being mean. She's not, but it's just like,
to me, I'm like, why would you go in somebody's inbox and send them something? Because like, that's not is going to be what changes their mind.
Right.
Like, I've had that before where a client, it wasn't a client, this gal on my Instagram just like got so upset with me about the healthcare system and like being able to afford this and that. And I was just like, and this was like over a year ago, so I'm paraphrasing and roughly butchering it, but I was just like, I just can't believe you took the energy to come message me this very emotional feeling, and it doesn't change my mind. And I feel like that applies to anybody that you message.
I agree.
Like, I'm not going to message, be like, hey, the holes in your jeans, man, like, they really make you, I don't even know.
Should we respond?
No.
Okay.
But that's just me.
I mean, it's fine. I said,
well, if she responds, I would just do the likey thing.
Yeah, good call. It's called boundaries.
Call it good.
People love this.
Well, because you're going to respond, and she's not going to say, like, you're not going to change her mind. She's obviously invested.
This lady loved the global sweeping. Here's what's going to happen. Roll. Her name is Susan. Said he's actually giving two perspectives when he says that it will be life-changing for some, and for others, it may be abused. So.
Well, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what? If you can't say anything, just don't actually say anything. I don't care if it's nice. I'm just kidding. If it's nice, say it. If it's not, shut the fuck up.
Well, who cares?
Yeah. This is something we're going to have to get into. We're going to have people talk about this and the ums and the likes.
I know.
So, that was irritating. And I had to work on having my own boundaries around that, because here's the thing, there's a difference between someone like, here's how you can do this better. Right. And we know speaking well on a podcast is important. We already know that. We know that we're learning editing and sound, and we're not really learning anything. We're just doing it. So we appreciate positive feedback because you want us to do better. What we don't appreciate, we're not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
you believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. I respect that you have a difference of opinion. I mean, if I can respect you, then I appreciate the same
Well, and
respect
maybe
back.
even say she is a coach, like maybe her clients are a different avatar too,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
she may have totally different clients than we have.
Yeah, a lot of MLMs on her page.
So if you have a lot of particular people, you're going to kind of gravitate towards that. It's kind of like bodybuilding, right? Like if everybody's got an eating disorder and body dysmorphia, you probably do too.
Yeah.
If you keep gravitating towards that.
All right. So that was fun. But thank you to Mind Pump and the great conversation. I love those guys, and they've been a big support of the Mindset of Matter
Yeah, I just
program.
associate myself as the 7th degree of Kevin Bacon with
You
them. So I
are.
figure
One day you'll meet
anytime
them.
I'm like, oh, that's great. We talked to them a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
We have been featured on their podcast.
Yeah.
I am so honored that they are aware of me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're the best. And one day we'll be on there. Or maybe we won't.
You should be. I mean, at this point,
Yeah,
they
you
should
should.
like because they interview some interesting people,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I think one thing that I wish they would do is I wish they would encourage more people to obtain coaching.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they have like the coaching kind of forum list or whatever, but I really wish there was a way that they would push more for that because lately, so I'm part of their private forum and then their trainer forum, but then I also listen to the podcast. And it seems like this last year, the calls kind of took a turn. And I don't know if that's just because I'm hearing what I want to hear more or what, but it just is, there's a lot of like, just help me. Instead of like, hey, I'm thinking about doing single leg deadlifts instead of Romanian deadlifts.
Yeah,
You know what I
I hear
mean?
that
And I
too.
hear a lot of more desperation.
Which is awesome.
Which is great because people are opening up and feeling like
Right.
they like,
They
okay,
trust
this is
those guys.
well, and I heard so and so go on there, so now I feel vulnerable where I can say this is actually what's going on in my life, and this is what I need help with. And I keep hearing more and more of like these over exercising, under eating, lost, confused, not sure what to do,
Yeah.
and in some kind of mood or emotional aspect.
Mhm.
And I know they try and help, obviously, but I wish there was more promotion of like, we need further help. Like it is up to you you're like, instead of putting them in the forum, which is great, I understand that, go hire a coach and then get on the forum and tell us which coach that is, what your experience has been like.
Right. Yeah. I think it's kind of the forum is a roundabout way to say there's other coaches on there, right?
That's true. That's true.
You know, and they don't necessarily want to just promote
one person.
You're
right.
Even though you can. Me. Just kidding. I love them.
By default, me.
Yes.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon over here. So yeah. So exciting. This is, I think, our 7th episode.
Sure.
It is. This is our 7th episode.
Okay.
And we're hoping everyone is enjoying this. So what is going on with you?
What is going on with me? I don't really think anything. Next weekend we're going to go see Andrew Schultz, so I'm kind of just looking forward to because today's Sunday. So yeah, I've got just training clients this week and
going to Vegas.
Are you? Oh yeah, for the Adrian stress fitting.
Yep.
Gonna learn ready to bustle.
Bustle.
Do you like being a bridesmaid or a matron of honor?
I do.
You do?
I like to plan things.
I know.
I also like to speak.
You also like organization.
Give me a microphone, baby.
Yeah.
I have an idea about my speech. I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yay.
It's gonna be good.
What day are you leaving?
Thursday morning. I fly out at 8.
Oh.
So
and come back Sunday?
Yes.
Okay.
So I fly out at 8, get there at 9, and then I have a call at 10.
Okay.
And so I'm working.
Yeah.
So I just because she's working
well,
too.
Yeah, she's gonna be
her fitting's at 3:30. So I just blocked it out. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the new El Dorado Hotel, which is off strip. I think it's related to the Red Rock. Have you been to the Red Rock?
Yeah, I am not like the only familiarity I have with Vegas is yours truly.
Yeah. Was that your first time there?
No. As an adult. Yeah, as an adult.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, we went to Formula One Las Vegas. My husband and I and her partner are big Formula One fans. And Amanda came with us.
I was joined.
And she was there. And we had a great time.
Chaperoned.
She did chaperone. And we chaperoned her one day.
One day.
Yeah. Mainly chaperoning. Actually, we were
fine.
calm. I
Yeah.
mean, other than the club,
Which was fun.
Can we talk about that?
Sure.
So, Justin Wong, it was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Justin. And he and I were talking about if Travis Scott.
Oh, apparently he's a big D-bag. Like, and he's known for that, right?
Yeah, just didn't show up to the club that we paid. I didn't pay. Our friend paid for bottle service. Like, it's a nice table. You know, he's paying tens of thousands of dollars for this motherfucker to not show up.
A lot of people there too.
Oh, it's packed.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Travis Scott?
Yeah, and I was like, yeah. And then by the 8th time, I was like, no, just keep playing the good fucking music.
Yeah, just
like,
we don't even care about him. He never showed up to the club.
That's so fucked.
Yeah. It's just
to me, that's like your job is to show up and perform.
Correct.
If you don't want to do that anymore, then just make albums or do whatever and don't book these types of shows.
Yeah. And I bet you they pay in advance.
Oh. I wonder if they get that money back. I wonder what the contract would be like.
I'm sure.
Or if it's like not even worth it, where he's like, here. You know.
Oh yeah. He doesn't care. But
is he dating the Kylie Jenner girl?
No, she's dating the guy who played Willy Wonka.
What?
Timothy Chalamet.
Good for them, I guess.
Yeah. Willy Wonka. The Candyman can.
Willy Wonka was always kind of creepy to me.
I love Willy Wonka.
Really?
So in first grade, we had to read the book. You do that in first grade? Yeah. How did I read Willy Wonka in first grade?
I don't know.
Do you read well in first grade?
I don't know. I was
Apparently
in California's
I did.
Education system.
So was I.
Who knows?
I was in LA. Anyway, and then maybe our teacher read it to us. I don't know. Anyway,
Willy Wonka was a part of your life.
Correct. And then we went to the play in Hollywood, in like one of the theaters there. And then we went to my parents' restaurant as a class.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my parents fed us burgers. So it was a great memory. What do they call those?
Field trip?
No. When it's like a clutch what the fuck are they called? I should know this as a therapist. It's like a memory that is a part of your it's a thing. Someone out there is like, it's a blah blah blah.
A profound moment of my life.
We'll call it a profound memory. That's not what it is. But anyways. So yeah, and then I talked about this last week, but finished the speaking engagement, have had some good feedback from that.
Yeah.
And the conversation was about how high achieving women tend to go, and they learn the hustle and they learn how to push through.
Is the hustle coming from childhood or from academics or both?
Both.
Okay.
And how that ultimately affects their self-care.
Yeah.
Right. And I was prefacing it as, you have these self-care goals, whether it's weight loss, feeling more energy, you're transitioning through menopause with less symptoms. However, what ended up happening is I talked to one of the girls, and she is a bodybuilder, and she so what I did, I'll explain the activity. So I had everyone write out their self-care goal for the year.
Okay. At this speaking event that you were part of. Okay.
And then I asked a series of questions related to overachieving, people pleasing, and all or nothing or perfect fail thinking. And anytime that they answered yes, they had to put a slice through their name, like the goal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. And then we talked about how many ticks each person had.
A lot. And
this particular person, I think, had 2 or 3, whereas everyone else was like 8, 9, And she and I were talking afterwards, and she said, I very much, like, my non-negotiables are working out and da-da-da. And I didn't say this to her because I didn't want to get into it, but I'm like, but how much of it are you doing? Yeah. And is it at the expense of other things?
Yeah.
Actually, no, we did touch on that. And she had said, believe this was our conversation. I talked to a lot of people that she realized that she wasn't spending time with her, I think it's her son. And
there was there was a little bit too much,
but we weren't focusing as much on that person. We were focusing on the general, and, at the Mindset of Matter, our clientele are high level women. I have 5 surgeons.
5 surgeons?
Mm-hmm. We have a ton of NPs, a ton of nurses. I have had 3 judges.
Yeah.
I have multiple executives,
Mm-hmm.
right? And entrepreneurs. I have a dentist. You have a lawyer, or I've had a, so we're going to name all of the things.
Yeah.
The reason why
Thankfully, they all are successful.
very, very high achieving. And when we talk about women who have the hustle, who have the grit, who achieve, we have to also, in the same breath, talk about how they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason why literally, I would even call it 95% of our clientele are in the positions they are in. They learned, as you said, at an early age that performance was important.
Right.
Yeah. And it is, guys. I mean, it's important to want to have goals and meet those goals. Where it becomes toxic is when, if we don't meet the goals, or we fail, or we have to start over, we make it something about our self-worth. And that seems to be why a lot of these women end up working with us.
Yeah.
Because let's just use this example. I have a client who always was a performer. She's always had good grades. She was great in athletics. On top of that, her family had a tragedy. So then she had to step up to the plate and take care of everyone.
Oof.
Right. And she came to me. She had been training with this training program, 6-7 days a week. She was not eating enough. She was like 5'10". And I think she was eating like 1,400 calories when she came in with us. Right. And she's just like, I don't understand. Like, I'm doing all the things. I'm not seeing the results. She has a very, very high stress sales job. Well, she's not. She's like an executive, and she travels for work every single week and is constantly trying to like get new clientele
Holy
into
cow.
their, yeah.
So when's her like rest?
Well, she didn't even, she didn't.
There is no rest.
Right. And, because of her upbringing and constantly being, the achiever, the performer, the person taking care, she learned, like, I can just push through. I don't have to, I'm going to push through and get to the end point. And I do that all the time. And I'm very successful at it. And she tried to do the same thing with her health.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, fortunately, she ended up with us. Right. And I'll read something she wrote the other day. And, it made me think about what is the common denominator, right? And how can we explain this to our community?
Okay.
And the word toxic resilience was introduced to me. Funny, because it was introduced to me because of my own stuff.
No.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah.
Full circle.
My therapist and I were talking about this focus of the company.
Yeah.
And how this was literally just last week, or 2 weeks ago, I was working like 16-hour days. Right. And it was overwhelming.
That's so funny because I was talking to my mom today, and I was like, yeah, Christina, like, we got some stuff. I was talking about our call essentially a couple days ago. She goes, I bet she just fucking thinks about that business all the time. And I was like, probably.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I've seen the schedule.
Yeah. It's a lot. And
well, it's a lot because it's owning a company is a lot, right? And then growing that company is a lot. And then still being so involved in that company is a lot. And then finding new ways to grow internally, like the programs that we have, right? So like we have the was it no name nurture
notice nurture
name, yes,
the mindset
method, but that wasn't always there, right?
Correct.
That's newer. So then that changed, but even before that, our modules changed, and then the check-ins changed, and so there's always,
you've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. There's a continual evolution that I don't think people see, and that you have to continually keep up with. But this is where your toxic resilience comes in too, of it's so intoxicating because it has such a hold on your brains
Mhm.
of having like the CEO mindset, got to do it, got to do it. And then you put backstory of how you got there. And then your proof is in the pudding. And I got to make this good.
Mhm. And I've always been good at anything I've
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Well, it's
Except for snowboarding.
we're working on it.
We're working on it. Try learning how to snowboard at 39.
Yeah.
I dare you. Everything I have put my mind to, and I'm very selective about what I put my mind to, I have it accomplished. Want to write a book? Wrote a book.
Yeah.
You know, wanted to make the dance team at ASU?
Okay. Do that.
Made the dance team at ASU, hip hop squad. I had failures though, you know. I mean, there were certain teams I tried out for I didn't make,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But
there's where your resilience comes in because okay, that team wasn't right for me. I'm gonna go
do
for this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, see, I'm resilient.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, and then people tell you too, because that's like people have been like, oh, Amanda, you're so resilient. And I'm like, yeah, but a lot of it comes from like shame and guilting of myself, right? And a lot of it comes from like I can't stop because if I stop, then who am I?
Right. And you talked about it in your story of like, you know, layering and layering and layering things in regards to like your even just your exercise and nutrition. And I love that word intoxicating because it is. You had said something, and I'm trying to remember what you just said. Like, you can't stop, right?
No.
Like, but sometimes that's exactly what you need to do.
Right.
You know, oh, you were talking about like the business, like it's nonstop and it's always evolving, but at a certain point you have to be okay with where it's at.
And let it kind of, let's see if this works. Because I won't know if it works if I don't just let it work on its own. And people are going to give me feedback.
Right.
Or I'm going to see kind of the shift in the conversation that clients have or that we have with clients.
Yeah. I think this is the last change to the program that we do in a while.
Yeah.
And it's all because we do take feedback and we are, but just to come back to the story is, I was like, okay, this is, and I bet a lot of you can relate to this. I was like, I'm just going to get through this and this and this, and then I'll rest.
Oh.
It's like the day I was sick, and I was like, I'll just get through today.
Yeah.
And then
I'll rest.
You should
just go home.
Yeah, you should go to sleep, dummy. I'm going to get through the email campaign. I'm going to I redid 30 reels, which then got feedback that they're still not good. It's fine. Let's just say they're not good. They're not the way she'd like them to be. I did my webinar and the Wi-Fi didn't work. So then I had to re-record it so that we can down. So in my brain, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get through this and then I'll rest.
Right.
Now, here's the difference about me. Well, I can't say that because my therapist she showed me my blind spots. I'm like, well, I'm getting my workouts in. I'm getting my nutrition in. I'm drinking my water. She goes, when's the last time you went outside and walked? She goes, I haven't heard you walking outside.
You haven't been walking?
I walk with my walking pad and work. And work. That's how I've been getting my steps in.
Oh, yeah. That's a problem for you. Even I know that.
Right. Yeah. And I love being outside. It makes me so, and honestly, Mark's like, well, you can go outside and not walk. I go, no, Mark, it's saying hi to my neighbors. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, puppy. Like, that's me. It makes me so happy. I love it so much. And I wasn't doing it.
Oh.
And I felt horrible. I was crying. And then the crying, or not the crying, but the sadness turns into catastrophizing, which we've talked about. You know, there's a chance this is going to go away. And it was just kind of this cycle of just the way I explained it in my community call for the on-demand group was like I had hay burning in my chest.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt.
Yeah.
And so she had brought up toxic resilience, which is, I'm going to read it off here. Pressure to maintain your success and image of competence at all costs, which can lead to what we're going to talk about today, right? And so it's like when you ask someone, how are you doing? It's fine. Or what's that meme?
Dude, I'm watching Grey's Anatomy. I'm kind of over it, but now I'm deep. And by deep, I'm in season 4 out of 20.
25,000.
Yeah. And they're all, it's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. I'm fine. And it's like, Shonda Rhimes, I need a little bit more context here.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this at the
conference.
not the conference, the women's group. Do you know what fine means? Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Yeah.
So, one of my friends and someone I actually work with in my life coaching, she had talked about, she has an online persona of who she is, and she has a name for it. It's like a character in her business.
Sure.
And she's going through a divorce.
Oh no.
And then has to, hey, I'm da-da-da, right? And we do that. Even if we don't have a character or a persona, we do that where we don't want you to see the kink in our armor.
Yeah.
We don't. Now, I hope that you can agree. I'm like, hey, can you talk?
Yes.
And reaching out for help.
Yeah, you and I are very good of like, I need a minute. Do you have a minute? Yep. And then it's just like, I'm just going to say what I need to say. It's an emotional piece. I don't need a solution, but I just need someone to go, yeah, that's fucking frustrating.
Right. And sometimes you'll ask me, do you want me to just listen to you or do you want a solution? Right. And so for most people though, they don't even have this online persona, but they put on that, it's me, like I'm great.
Yeah.
And what happens with that though too, and I talked to a client this week about this. I know we reference a lot of we have a lot of conversations with people because we have a lot of clients that we meet with weekly. And we, obviously.
Well, and it's good to give examples. Like this is like real people that we talk with. Like we're not just making these people up out of thin air.
Right.
Which, I mean, you can, right? Sometimes like I'll make up a story or something for a client to relate to in a way, but it's also kind of like, no, these are real people. And this is a real feeling. And this is a real like issue because this is not a good problem to have.
Right. Right. Well, in her case, she did her family dynamics and she was praised for being independent.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, she had a parent figure who was completely toxic. And so she had to create a very strong boundary around that parent figure, take care of herself. And then her other parent figure praised her for being able to take care of herself. And we were talking about, and I very much relate to that, you are the strong one. You've learned to be the strong one. You've learned to be the achiever. You've learned to be the go-getter. You learned to be the one that's the golden. That doesn't mean you want to be.
Right. Sometimes
You want someone to take care of you.
Yeah.
And I realized for me, and this, it sounds so silly, but you guys, this is why we share our lives with you, because I'm not going to say it's silly. I want to validate even this small shit can break your back. My husband and I, we order groceries.
Yeah.
We do actually a Walmart deal. They literally have the code to our thing and
dude, that's about to be my life.
Yeah.
I'm so over going to the grocery store.
I don't do it. it. So we had a conversation and he said, yes.
Okay.
Are you going to do your own grocery order? Because I was doing like the gluten and dairy free. And I was like, no, I'm going back. Because after the conference, I was eating normal food, my normal food. So I assumed, and that's my problem, that he had ordered my food. Because I eat about the same stuff every week. And then that Monday, I went to go to the fridge and there was no food for me. And I got so mad. And I said to him, I was like, why don't I have food? I thought you ordered me food. He goes, no, you said you didn't want food. I go, yes, I did. And then we got in an argument about it. Not an argument, like a
couple fight.
But like, what the fuck? I don't think I said what the fuck. I try not to cuss when we are arguing. Anyways, so later on, I took a step back and I don't know if I talked to Julia, that's my therapist, or not. I don't think I did because I didn't talk to her until Tuesday. And I realized when I don't feel cared for, that is a major trigger for me. And it makes me want to say, fuck you, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because in my life, in situations in my upbringing, I've had to caretake other people.
Yeah.
But it's exhausting and it's traumatic. And you learn it in a brain that doesn't necessarily have the capacity to understand, right?
Yeah.
You get really good at reading other people and, managing your emotions to meet their needs. And all you want is for that person to actually take care of you.
Right.
You should not be doing any of those things. Ed Milet talked about this because he he was a speaker at one of the events I went to. His dad was an alcoholic, and he got so good that he could hear the way his dad put the key in to know what type of kid he needed to show up as to his dad to calm the situation, right? When all he wanted was to have a father and to be loved and to be cared for with.
Yeah. Like, hey, how was your day?
Yeah. And so I realized anything that looks like, sounds like, smells like, feels like you don't care or you're not caring for me, I instantly react with anger, frustration, and I would even call it stonewalling.
Yeah. I have the same reaction sometimes with Michael about stuff because of our history. Like if he doesn't do XYZ thing, it brings me back to a time that we were really struggling. And I think, here we go again. This is how we're going to do it. And then I kind of get defensive, like, fine, fuck you. I'm going to do everything myself. I don't need you because you're obviously not showing up for me.
Yep.
And it could be like, honestly, like he didn't do the towels in the dryer when I asked him to, or something, something so minuscule. But it's just the right day and the right kind of concoction of how I'm feeling about myself and the insecurity that I feel, of maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe I'm not a good trainer. Maybe I'm not doing this. And then he doesn't support it in a way that I have envisioned. All of a sudden it's like, well, he obviously doesn't care.
Right. Right.
And it's like, and then his thing is minimizing how I feel. And then that just drives me.
Well, that doesn't feel like you care.
Yeah. Cause then it's like, what do you mean? I'm like trying to, like, this is how I feel. And he's like, Danny, it's the towels. It's not the towels. Right. So it's the past reaction.
Well, Mark said, can you be aware if that's the way you feel when you're in that moment?
I think bless their hearts though.
I mean, like, what do I teach? Notice.
Yeah.
Right? Know that's, I knew it was a struggle, but I didn't realize how much of a struggle, specifically when I'm in that toxic resilient place.
Yeah.
I'm breaking.
Like when you're taking on so much of a load.
So much at once.
Yeah.
I am breaking. And now look at you. You can't even.
Right. What are you not doing?
Right. Like, don't you see me?
Yeah, I'm doing all this shit.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything.
Right?
And he's like,
boy is like,
doing
all the things. Yeah.
He's working on my groceries.
He
got you sub today.
He makes me dinner every night.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Yeah.
Right. He asks, I'm going to cry.
And he's incredibly kind to us.
Yeah.
He's incredibly thoughtful. He's always engaging. Like, how are you? What's going on?
He says, do you need help? Do you want me to make your lunch or your breakfast? If he knows I'm having a hard day. He bought me flowers the other day. And he always buys me flowers, but he's like, you've been working really hard. I know. So it's not a him thing. It's a me thing. And it was me reacting to someone who very much cares about me.
Yeah.
Because I have just put so much on myself that I don't have the mental capacity to fight off my shit.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why I thought we talk about this.
Yeah.
Because it's so common for our clientele.
Well, and I think it also plays a role, like thinking of our clientele. How many times have they been in a relationship that they don't feel like is working out because of what he or she, the significant other, is not doing?
Right.
But you're looking at them going, hey, you're kind of not letting them. Like, and then when they try to, you fucking go off.
You micromanage them.
Yeah. So of course they're not doing anything. I'm like, oh, he can't take care of the kids. It's like, but he surely at some point,
the kids are still
in your pregnancy, you felt he was competent to take care of children, right? Like we don't tend to have kids with people that we don't find competent.
Yeah, you're not going to have kids with a crackhead.
Right.
Well, we're not. We're not.
Correct.
Yeah.
So to me, I think like this example of your toxic resilience and then this example with your husband and whatnot, you can see so easily where the relationship, the core relationship of your life starts to break down. And then it starts to create that rift. So then you start to overcompensate. Well, fine. If he's not paying attention to me, I'm going to go work more and I'm going to show him more and I'm going to make more and then I'm going to do more and more.
Love avoidance cycle, baby.
Yeah.
That's what it is. No, it's true. It's true. And again, you see it. We have so many clients in these relationships. Also, they have such unrealistic expectations of themselves that some of them don't have relationships because of that.
Right.
Right. Or the other thing I noticed too is sometimes women will expect the same kind of work ethic from their partner. It's like, no, babe, this shit's toxic. Like,
also,
but
it
they don't
ain't
know
fun.
that.
You're not having fun, are you? Like,
Right.
so you want both of y'all not to have fun? Like, he is, and I'm going with heterosexual couples here, but either way, their role sometimes is to make you be fun.
Right.
Like, that's how, honestly, I think of Michael a lot. Is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he makes me be fun.
Mhm.
And I'm not very fun in general. Like, I'm not very cut loose. But if it wasn't for him, I would be down this like skewed road, like complete sobriety, complete workout, like everything would be scheduled to the minute of my day.
Right.
But I can't allow that with a significant other.
No. And Mark calms you down. Very much so.
So we've got these unsustainable workloads.
Yeah. So let's talk about what that looks like. And we're talking workload, because remember, this is a mindset mirror connection. We're not just talking about your image in the mirror, but we're going to touch on both unattainable workloads and unattainable health goals.
Okay.
Right. So workloads, there's no reason I should be working 16-hour days.
No.
Ever.
No.
Ever. Weirdly, slept well last week.
I'm so tired.
Yeah. Hello. Julia said, just get outside and walk. I walked today. I walked a couple of other days. I didn't get to walk in every day.
Yeah.
And we're now past the hump, right? So this week should be relatively easy. And, making sure I get off the freaking computer.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing about people like, oh, you work from home. It's
Yeah,
so easy.
I get it. But it's easy to be like, oh, I'll just check real quick.
Right.
I'll just check real quick.
Right. I even, if I see a notification come through on my phone from Everfit, I'm like answering, so, thinking I could just do one more thing. I could do the next thing. I'm going to keep saying yes. So I want to introduce a rule to y'all that, I want you to do this first. I want you to think about this. I had us do this yesterday. What are the 3 things you're spending your time on that don't help improve your success?
Watching Grey's Anatomy.
Okay. Well, no. I mean, is that a part of your downtime?
Right now, yeah.
Good. Keep that.
Okay, wait. 3 things
So
that
I'll
I'm
give an
doing that aren't
example.
contributing.
Yeah, that's not how she asked it, but she basically was like, how she talks about 70% of your time should be focused on the 3 things that you contribute to the company that nobody else can. So for me, it was creating content and the programming.
Module building, yeah.
The networking and speaking, and I think like operations and process, even though I can probably now put that on someone else, right? I think that's what it was. And so she says, okay, 70% of your time needs to be focused on those 3 things. So this is really important, guys. This is, if you look at your business, what are the 3 things that you specifically need to be focusing on? Not the things you can delegate, not the things that don't matter. What is it? So for me, being and we even talked about, I don't want to be the face of Mindset Matter. I want us all to be the face of Mindset Matter, because at some point I'm going to take a vacation and maybe you come on and do so, However, right now that's what it is. The speaking engagements, that's something that I like to do. The mental health aspect of this is me, right? We all contribute differently. So I need to be, and I know what it was, like, because you do this too, like lead gen, like funnel generation, really just creating that the marketing aspect. So 70% of my time needs to be focused on those 3 things. And if I'm doing those 3 things throughout my day, I've had a successful day. So then the flip was, what are you doing that's not those 3 things, right? And I don't have them. I don't have my notes here, but one of them that stood out to me was, I do this thing where I think I can fit a 10-minute project into 5 minutes right before starting something else.
No.
Instead of just taking the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Knowing like you're going to be late to your next meeting. That's going to cause you frustration.
Yeah.
You're going to be flustered. You're not going to show up the coach that you want to be. Right? And so not only the unattainable workload, right? And again, if you're focusing on those 3 important things that you solely do to contribute to the company, that no one else really does, or you're not at the place yet to hire or delegate, 70% of your time needs to be focused on that. Then the other 30%, you can focus on self-care, you can focus on, right? And then eliminating the stuff that doesn't matter and creating a schedule around those three things that matter.
I think for you, just watching you grow too has been this probably isn't the right phrase, but buying your time. And what I mean by that is, okay, I need a VA. And getting a VA, or like finding the right VA more so too, right? Like
I've been through 3.
You can do the videos editing, the like Facebook post or whatever, the social media post and all that. But why?
Yeah.
And that is not, going back to like Alenka's 70%, that's not a useful point of your time. But you doing that as a CEO or high achieving woman, whatever we're phrasing here, is taking away effort. And it's making your time shorter. And what I mean, like, you don't have the availability because now you have to post. Is posting really important for a CEO? No.
Right.
But are you trying to control every single aspect? Yes. Is it important? Like, if she doesn't post it exactly at, maybe you want to post at 10 a.m. and she posted at 10:05, like, that's something that you have to let go because, again, you're paying for your time being available over here.
Right.
And that's what I find, like, with a lot of our clients is they most likely financially have the means, but they somehow justify not doing it. But now they're taking away from another bucket, or another area. So, for example, the kids, right? So now you're not spending time with your kids, and then the kids start behaving, and then you're pissed off because the kids aren't behaving really well, and then It's like, well, honestly, if you would pay someone to clean your house, who comes for an hour and does it, and do they do the best job? No. Do they do it as good as you? No. Who cares?
Caesar does a great job.
Caesar does do a good job.
He's coming tomorrow. So good.
I know. And they're quick.
We should give him a shout out on Instagram.
Caesar.
They're the best cleaners. Like, they started, the girl who used to rent out my house when we went out of town, we were on a
is that how
road
you
trip.
met them?
Yeah.
Really?
So Aurora used them. And then I was like, you really like them, right? And the girl that we used to use would never show up on time. She
He's
He's
always on time.
And confirms.
Yeah.
And is in and out.
Yeah. Like, I'll text him. Like, I usually text him on the weekends, and I always feel bad. But it's when I think of it, because I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to clean.
Right.
You know,
I don't do recurring?
No, I just
whenever. Yeah.
Because he usually comes by every 3 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Anyways.
We do every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's in and out.
I know.
I love them.
Okay,
anyway.
But that's like, right. You can clean your house, right? But like,
you can cut your lawn.
But why?
You can chop down a chicken.
And again, this is coming from a place of privilege, blah, blah, blah. But
Correct.
At some point, your time is more valuable spent in other places. And I think a lot of these high achieving women don't realize that.
Correct.
Like, it's okay not to have these things perfect because they're coming from a place of perfectionism that they, look at in my performance. But your toilet scrubbing has nothing to do with how good of a mom you are, or how good of a wife you are, or any of those things.
Your kids aren't going to remember how good your toilets are.
Yeah.
Well, and just coming back to the mind pump, Adam had said it in one of our calls. He said, you have to get okay with someone doing a B- job on something you can do an A+ on solely to save you time. And also utilize your people, right? Utilize you and
outsource,
right, and know their strengths. Where, for me, speaking is my strength.
Yes,
I know that. So you guys help me with the webinars, but I really try to do as many as I can so that we're speaking to people, the content, this. Where with you, honestly, and we've not actually talked about this yet, bringing you on for you would be an operations person for me. I think you would do exceptionally well with keeping things in line.
Oh yeah. Well,
right.
Tell me what to do and it will get done.
Right.
That segue.
Right. So we're not going to put that on your plate, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, understand everyone's strengths. And so, again, toxic resilience is the opposite of that. It's doing all the things, thinking you have to do all the things, putting an expectation and micromanaging the outcome of those things. And because you have this quality control
obsessiveness,
yes, you're doing too much.
Well, and then so what does this do for your health and well-being, right? Because that goes into there.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. So my client, who is the executive, the sales that we talked about, I won't use her name. She was running herself into the ground.
Of course.
She had unattainable expectations around
She's
her.
like, why do I feel like shit?
Yeah, why am I so tired all the time?
I don't know.
That's the thing, you guys. If you start just feeling exhausted, there's something going on,
Or quickly irritable.
Oh, yeah. That's mine. Yeah. I'm like, give me a run. So for her, she was running herself into the ground. She was not eating, like I said, not eating enough, working out way too much. And I told her, I go, look, honestly, this is what I'm going to do for you. We're going to pull you back. We are going to eat more and move less.
Yeah.
And her body has changed beautifully. She is on a beach right now in Cancun, loving her life. She looks amazing, amazing. And is eating 2,200 calories.
Yeah.
Could probably get it up higher, but it's been a slow.
Yeah. However, that's a shift in itself. That's a whole other podcast.
Think about the time. Let's just talk about time. Like, she's invested in this. I've saved her time.
Yeah.
On what? Consistently being in that cycle for the next 10 years.
Right.
So that's, that pushing into the ground. It's, I can do more. I can do more. I can do more. And you talked about it. Like, we were talking about the client who you said, have you actually sat down and looked at your day?
I usually ask most of them that.
Yeah. Like, what are you going to do more?
Yeah.
If you write it out, you're busy.
Yeah.
And so and then also thinking, and this is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear, that an outcome is true for you, meaning your unattainable health goals might be looking at someone online and thinking, oh, I want to look like her, or something like that, or there's another woman in your business that, I don't know, looks a certain way or has a certain car or whatever, so you have all these weird expectations even on image.
Well, that's what one of my clients, she owns multiple like health clinics from what I understand. And she's, how old is she? She's 50, I want to say 50, because her sons are like in their 20s. And she's very successful, but she wants this like supermodel body. And it always comes back to, I want the supermodel body. So I want the suit. And I'm like, but you're going to work at 6 a.m., leaving at 10 p.m. When would you do it? And so it was really interesting because when I first started working with her, same thing, like you need to eat a bit more and move a little bit less, because her workouts were just like CrossFit, high intensity every morning, whatever, like no structure or anything. So I was like, okay, we're working out twice a week. Which 2 mornings can you actually do it on? Like, not that you're waking up earlier to do it, but that you have the time in the morning. And then you're going to eat a bit more. And like, of course, that was like, oh, I'm like, just try it. Then she travels maybe every 3 to 4 weeks for work. I said, those weeks we're not working out, because she'll go to the gym and find a gym, which great. You want to go to the gym? Here's what it's like a body weight like circuit that I have her do. It's very simple. I said, but when you're at the gym, I want you to focus on how your body feels. So let's practice that there. So this last week, she was traveling and she's like, oh my gosh, I slept like crap, but it was great because I was able to sleep in. Whereas before I would have woken up, pushed it in the gym and tried to figure it out. And I was like, yeah, she's like, actually, and I'm like, so, okay. Cause I always ask my clients, so what's different than 6 months ago? Like, let's compare so you can realize, again, more than progress photos. What was different? Well, I would have woken up and pushed myself and then would have told myself, God, that was a terrible workout. Now you have to work harder throughout the day. And now here I am. I'm just tired and ready for bed. Okay. Go to bed.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's funny. We had the same conversation with the client who, she said, like, I'm addicted to work. I will do all the things you tell me to do. I am the girl in the class where they say, you can choose this version or this version. I'm going to choose the higher version. And we had a conversation with her because she wanted to do a few things, like the 12 out of 8 to 12 rep range. She's like, well, I'm going to hit the 12. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Like hit the 8.
Yeah. Like, actually, the harder thing to do is hit the 8 with the highest weight.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, and honestly, that metaphor is going to be a metaphor for this program for you. And so we pulled her back on movement, and she said the same thing. She goes, you know what? I woke up this morning and I had some coffee. I read my book.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Like they're like enlightened.
Yeah.
And
It's like,
you're
it's great.
yeah.
Not what
Take
have,
steps
and
back.
it is us giving them permission.
Yes. That's what I
You know?
tell, like, even with their eating, I'll be like, if I don't give a fuck you had the pizza, why should you give a fuck?
Yeah. You
I said,
hired me.
yes. And I look at, you know, tens of meals every day.
Mhm.
I look at lots of logs, lots of food pictures.
Right.
And so if I don't care that you have it, I really don't care.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to care.
Right. Exactly. No, and you know, we, in regards to that, you know, punishing and pushing yourself in the
Yeah.
ground, we have to realize the impact on our hormones.
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna have a hormone talk. Mainly the stress, right?
Yeah.
You are over 35, 40 years old. You have children. You have parents who are aging. You have a relationship. You have responsibilities at work. You have a social life. You might have 2 dogs. You know, just boom, 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 boom. You are not your 30-year-old self. You are not your 20-year-old self. You are where you are today. And all of those things add to your stress. We talked about this before.
Plus poor sleep too.
Oh, yeah. And poor sleep, right? So when our stress is high, our body is either in fight or flight. And the emotions we know for each of those is fight is anger and rage, flight is fear. There's also freeze. And freeze, so fight or flight tells us we can get out. We're either going to go towards and fight our way out, or we're going to go out and run our way out. Freeze, however, says we can't get out. And we dissociate, we feel numb, we feel shame, we feel guilt, right? And if our bodies don't actually know the difference between real threat and perceived threat, it just knows that it's stressed. And in our society with, you know, toxic resilience, meaning, you know, constantly doing and chronically stressing ourselves out, our body's constantly in fight, flight, or freeze. When it's in that place, specifically fight or flight, there's a ton of blood sugar going in the body because your cortisol is high, right? Your cortisol is in your body to tell you to run when there's a threat, right? It's meant to go up and come down, go up and come down. We talked about the 3: fight, flight, freeze, and then you have social engagement, which is the parasympathetic, which is you're grounded, you're calm, you're cool. Your cortisol is supposed to go up and come down, but we're doing, I was about to say, y'all, I'll take accountability. We are doing so much that our cortisol is so high that then our blood sugar is high.
Mm-hmm.
Our insulin takes that blood sugar to our cells, but now all the cells are full.
Mm-hmm.
So then we become insulin resistant. We see women who are perfectly healthy get diabetes or have issues with weight loss. When our cortisol is high, our pregnenolone is our mother hormone, is bypassing making anabolic hormones, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. Instead, it's using pregnenolone. I shouldn't say using pregnenolone makes progesterone, and instead of keeping progesterone, it actually uses it to make more cortisol. It's called the cortisol or pregnenolone steal. I can add, Dr. Stephen Cabral has a little sheet on this. And so when that's happening, then we start to feel all the different things. We're super fatigued, right? We are hungrier than ever because our bodies needs energy. We don't get enough sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So sleep and stress, they all look, it kind of looks the same in regards to how we treat our bodies. And so we are running ourselves into the ground and we're causing physiological responses to happen that are only exacerbating us being tired of being tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to talk about how all of this, what you're putting on your plate, you know, constantly adding to your schedules, constantly saying yes, that there's a true physiological issue happening because you're not calming the fuck down.
And then they wonder, why are my hormones? I just need, and if, like, legitly, most of the time, women do need hormone replacement therapy as we get older. It's totally okay.
Mm-hmm.
But let's make sure the foundations are okay
Mm-hmm.
instead of blaming it on everything else and being like, I don't know, this will fix it. It's like, well, we're still under eating. Like, I have a client that comes in person and kind of an affective mood, just neutral. not a lot of highs and lows, and of course, low testosterone. But I'm like, well, what are you eating? And then I know that. And I'm like, well, that's not, are you eating like this because of the low testosterone, or we have low testosterone because of the way we're eating?
Mhm.
And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, here's an easy way to prove, to show what it is. Like, let's change the eating.
Yeah.
And then you can see. Well, she went the other way. And so I'm like, well, is the eating getting better? And kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and then the other week she comes and she's like, I'm gaining weight. I'm like, well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably some stuff to that. You want me to
Mhm.
break it down because you already know what the thing is.
Right. You know, you made me think of something with my sales exec client. She actually, I don't know if I said this already, she got blood work done recently.
Oh,
And her
no.
cortisol's still high even after the changes. So that means like it was higher than before and it's still high,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. And I have another client who I don't think she's bought into this yet, but her stress is so high that even moderately high stress, she thinks is calm. So I'm super high, but then I get to moderately stressed, and I think that's my calm place.
So going into kind of the next part of this is, where do you think, or what do you think stops these women from getting help? Or what is the breaking point until they get help?
Mhm.
Whichever way you want to go about that.
Well, I had mentioned already, it's you don't want to see the kink in the armor. They don't want anyone to see them struggle.
Right.
They don't ask for help. They say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Right. And they're drowning.
Yeah.
When I'm in this place, you guys, it feels like I have two hands around my neck and I'm being suffocated. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate to that. It sucks. And for me, I know I'm not fine and I ask for help and it helps.
What makes you ask for help, though?
Because if we want to get real deep, I'm confident in my failure.
Yeah.
Like I'm not afraid to fail anymore. So
Well, I would even like rephrase that as like, I know I'm not going to fail. It's just my perception of what is
Correct.
failure, right? Like,
correct.
what would be your failure?
Right.
I don't know.
I'm human.
Yeah.
And a part of humanity is social connection.
Right.
And so a part of our parasympathetic nervous system is social engagement.
Right.
Being grounded, being supported, feeling loved. So if I know that to be true, then if I'm in fight or flight, the easiest way to get out is ask for help.
Yeah.
Done. Right?
Do you think that comes from a place of practice of asking for help?
Mhm.
So the first ask for help is like, it's like going to
Put
therapy
this
for the
up.
first time,
I
right?
don't know why yours keeps falling down. It's doing this whole thing.
So, like the first session of therapy is usually the worst, right?
Oh yeah, my first one was 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have 2 hours? Get another
Yeah.
yellow manila.
Here's my credit
Notebook.
card.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I like. It's the first time is it that these women haven't asked for the first help and they just need to practice giving into that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then recognizing like, okay, I need help. I can't do this anymore.
One of my favorite things to tell a client is you in your life have learned that you can't trust someone else to help you.
Yeah.
And so you've been doing it by yourself this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's impacting your mental and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
In this program with your coach, when I'm talking to them with me, this is going to be practice for the first time in your life to ask for help and receive it. And beginning to trust other people to take care of you. Because that didn't happen for you, and I'm sad for you that that didn't happen. However, I want to show you that there are people who care about you,
Yeah.
who see you,
Yeah.
who hear you,
Yeah.
and want to be there for you.
Right.
And they're just like,
Like, really? It's like, yeah.
yeah. And so, yes. I mean, them obviously becoming your client is them
Right,
reaching out.
right.
So I always say, you look at, you've already taken a step forward, right?
Yeah.
You've already taken a step forward. Another thing I do is I'll say, I want you. Oh, I was going to say something earlier. one of the top things I teach my clients is the 4 rules of caretaking or helping people, but I'm going to say one of them here. Do not say yes to something if you know it's at the expense of yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You know you're going to feel like shit. It's not a question. You know that. You already feel like shit. What do you think? Adding something else is not going to make me feel like shit? Like, don't say yes, caretake, people please, if you know it's at the expense of yourself. Right? And so if it's at the expense of me, I don't say yes to that, or I deny it, whatever. But when it comes to then also saying I can't, that's almost a form of asking. I won't say it's a form of asking for help, but it's kind of in that same ballpark of like setting boundaries too.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to learn to ask for help, and we need to learn to set boundaries.
Right. And I like to tell clients too, like, you can just say no. You don't have to give a reason.
No.
You can say, I can't, no, I'm not available. You don't have to say I'm not available because just say no.
Right.
Like, if they ask, oh, why not? Okay, then depending on the context and the situation, that
And
may
the
be
person.
different, and the person. But no, just say I can't.
No, I think it's such a important thing to know it's okay. It's okay to be seen. It's
Yeah.
okay to be heard. It's okay to be seen as not strong. You want to be seen not strong. My one client that she was the one who was like doing the hit and the 12. Her ideal self, when she completed it, she just wants to be balanced. Even though she wears her productivity and work ethic as a badge of honor, she doesn't really want it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I shouldn't say that she loves it, but
she doesn't want to carry that burden of upholding it.
Correct.
Yeah, there we go.
She wants to find that balance.
Yeah.
She's fucking awesome because she is self-aware and ready to make the change, and it's wonderful. So, asking for help, setting boundaries, focusing on that 70%.
Yeah.
Right? If 70% is you focusing on the things that matter, right? We're talking about it from a business point of view, right? 70% of what I do in my business needs to be focused on these 3 areas.
I mean, you can plot twist this and do stay-at-home mom too. Yeah.
Well, great transition to my client, Becky. I can use her name because I've shown her on my Instagram.
Oh, really?
She is doing this thing where she writes out all the things she needs to do on Post-its, and then she just pulls them over and boop, that one's done. And then she'll look and be like, I don't want to do that one right now. I want to do this one.
Yeah.
And she does it, boop, done. And she moves it over. And it's this like, all right, those don't really matter. And I talk about like the Eisenhower matrix of urgent and important, do it first.
Yeah.
Which would be your 70% too, if you take it in that context. And she does it. And she's like, I was compartmentalizing everything, but I can do photography for 20 minutes and then be with my kids for 20 minutes and then put them down for a nap and then maybe come back to the photography. I don't have to sit there and do the whole thing at once.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's where and for me, a part of my like ADHD brain is like getting fixated on things. So I'm like, let's go. But she was able to do that. As really, it changed her like whole being. She's
giving
so
herself
empowered.
The permission to not have to grunt through it.
Yeah, she's feeling so empowered. And so, guys, it's such a real thing. And I hope that y'all understand how real toxic resilience is, how it impacts how we see ourselves, which we've obviously touched on throughout this. It impacts how we show up for ourselves. There is a reason they say to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. I know it's scary to think about pulling back, but you've never actually experienced what it feels like to be firing on all cylinders from within.
Yeah.
So why not try it?
I tell my clients often, let's do the one thing you haven't done.
Yeah.
You've done everything else. You feel lost and confused. Here's the one thing you haven't done. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, if it doesn't work, we could go back to the 50 things that you thought worked.
Right. Exactly.
But they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And you haven't asked for help. We're going to start asking for help.
Yeah.
You don't check in with yourself. We're going to start checking in with yourself.
Yeah.
You don't You don't spend time on your own stress management, we're going to spend time on that.
Or you don't spend time with your own self.
Yeah.
Like, I think so many people, they're like, oh no, I'm alone a lot. And it's like, but you're doing stuff, you're working, or you're like organizing something. You're putting everything off instead of asking, what do I want to do right now? Like, is it just laying around watching Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
Without working?
Bravo. You bring up a good point, and I don't know how long we've been going, so maybe we'll talk about this another time. But oftentimes we have relaxation remorse.
Yeah.
Because sitting with ourselves means being with ourselves.
Right. And we don't like ourselves.
We don't like ourselves.
Yeah.
So relaxation remorse, toxic resilience, they love to play in the sandbox together. It's if I'm not doing, I'm not being.
Right.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
So that will be for another time.
Yeah.
Anything else you would add? Awesome. Well, thank you guys. We hope this is helpful. Obviously you can see for both of us, this is actually something that we struggle with today. And, thankful to have the self-awareness around it so that it doesn't exacerbate into physiological issues, relational issues, and being able to kind of take that step back and be aware. If you find this information helpful, please follow us on social media. I'm Christine. Well, that's my actual name. My Instagram is not Christina. It's Mindset and Matter Coaching.
I'm fitbyamanda.az.
You can also find us on YouTube at The Mindset and Matter, TikTok at The Mindset and Matter. And if you're interested in setting up time with us to speak about these particular things or even our coaching programs, we do one-to-one personalized hand-holding coaching, as we call it. And we also have an on-demand program that includes a group coaching component. You can find information on setting up that call at themindsetandmatter.com. And as always,
what you say in the mind,
you see in the mirror. Goodbye.